Hi there, and welcome to our presentation of sewing on finished ball caps with Happy's HCD2 1501 commercial embroidery machine. The included kit, which you can see here, that comes with the machine is really impressive, giving the capability of the machine to sew 3-inch by 14-inch wide continuous cap sewing field, which lets us do both the front of a cap and then also the sides of the cap all in a single hooping. And the machine does this at very high speed and very reliable because of its inherent durability and designed for continuous commercial use. So let's go ahead and see that in action. Let's see the parts of the cap kit and see how that works. The first thing we have here is the driver, which basically takes the left-right arm movement and translates that to rotational motion that we need to actually sew on the cap. And before we install that, we tell the control panel that we're installing the cap hoop system simply by using the hoop selector, which you may have seen in a previous demo. Simply hit a button here to select the cap hoop, and we'll tell it we're sewing the wide. And what's happening is when we select that, several things are happening at once. The machine is adjusting the way it moves and sews to optimize it for better quality cap sewing. And what we'll do is we'll go and center the hoop and arm movement here, and that moves it to the arm to within the range of movement of the cap sewing device. So we'll go ahead and slide that on here, and again, this is called the driver, and it slides right over that tubular arm. And we'll go ahead and align this with the slots that are built for this. There's an upper and a lower support. I'll align the lower support first, then the upper. And there are 4 built-in thumb screws here that we'll just snug down. It only takes a few turns, and that's on there. And take it a little bit past finger tight. That's on there nice and tight. Okay, now now the machine is ready to go. So let's go ahead and get a ball cap ready using the rest of our cap kit. And part of that is the hoop itself, which is rounded, and the round shape accepts the round base of a typical finished ball cap. So let's go ahead and grab the typical ball cap here. We've got a navy colored cap, typical medium low profile, which is very, very popular today. So we're going to put that onto this cap hoop, and to make that easy, we have a stretcher here, and what this is basically a jig that temporarily holds the cap hoop in place. We slide that onto the jig or the stretcher. Basically a little hooping aid, and again, this all comes with the machine. This strap itself is going to hold the cap in place. And before we put the cap on here, what we'll do is we'll get a piece of stabilizer, just a tearaway, and about the size of the design. Now I've selected for this this video here a nice large round design that lets us actually see the true sewing field. So I got a nice large piece of backing here that we curl around there, and we'll go ahead and slide the cap hoop in place. So to do so, we'll slide that over the backing, unfurling the sweatband. And aligning with the center tab here, which has a nice red mark, that we can align with the center seam of the ball cap if we happen to have one. The ball cap happens to have that, especially on 6-panel caps. Once aligned, we basically flatten this against the barrel shape of the cap stretcher underneath, much like a dressmaker's form, that lets us tighten up the garment itself without over tightening it or distorting the shape. So once that's held down tight, we simply grab the strap and sink the teeth into the seam around the base of the cap. That holds that nice and tight in place so that it doesn't shift even during high-speed sewing. So we'll secure the buckle in place and make sure everything's nice and aligned, and finally just go ahead and snug that, close that buckle down. And finally, the cap hoop itself comes with two small clips, and the purpose of that is as we rotate this up, you can see that there's two posts on the back of this that support the back and sides of the cap and keeps it nice and level for real accurate even sew outs, even on the sides and near the back. So when we put these clips in, it holds the material against those posts, and now we're ready to go. So without further ado, we'll remove this cap from the stretcher, and let's go ahead and put it onto the machine. And we do so by rotating our cap bill out of the way and kind of fitting it over that sewing arm, and then popping it onto the driver. And there are three clamps around that hold that firmly in place. Just do a real quick test to make sure that's not coming loose, and that's nice and set up. And looking back over at the control panel itself, what we'll do is position our design. We want to get that possibly as low on the cap as possible without crossing our safety zone. And we'll kind of escape out of that, do a quick trace. And you can see how far the cap rotates as we hit the plate, and see how far around we can go during the trace. So it's looking like that's fitting nicely within the sewing field of the cap. And we'll go ahead and hit start here as soon as that trace is finished. And as you're sewing high volume and you sew the same design over and over, you can even skip the step of the trace once you've become comfortable with the fit within the available sewing field. So escaping back out to the main screen, simply hit start, and the first thing that's going to sew is the right ear. So this will rotate over, and then the left ear, so you can quickly see how far over it moves. So you can see how far over on the side that sewing this crest is on. That up here so you can see how comfortably the machine operates even at maximum sewing speed. That's 1,000 stitches per minute. You can see how smoothly that machine is operating. Now we'll fast forward on through this logo so that we can immediately see the other side here. I'll go and stop the machine, and let's go ahead and jump to the next color change here. So we can see immediately how far over that goes. We'll just cut our thread, and going to the next color, the next color block, we'll jog forward here by one. And hit start, and watch how far over that moves. So we're sewing on the opposite side, and this will sew a little flag design here on the side. To give you an idea of how far over the cap sewing device for the Happy HCD2 can sew everything in between, almost to the back of the cap, and also, of course, the center part of the cap, all in one hooping. And that's ball cap sewing with Happy's HCD2 1501.